authority umbrella as it reigns with the actors and actresses. The PDP has been rolling in and out of crisis, even during their 16 years in power, but it got worse when they lost power to the then opposition APC in 2015. And the party is still smarting from its crisis of coherence. The book, in 29 short readable chapters, captured all the dimensions of PDP up to date. Wait for the book to see some of these things he has written from his experience. The author feels from his journalistic perspective that what he saw politicians do in the PDP, especially in nearly 4 years of Prince Uche Secondus, easily the longest stable regime in PDP life, is nothing but wonders to the ordinary eyes. You will see this from interesting titles such as From the Ashes Through Prayer as a Weapon of Political War. You see how they use prayer as a weapon of political war. Like Unwodo, like Secondus. Just wait to see how he did the comparisons. Wike, you will see some of the reasons, some things are happening now from the book. From a topic like Wike, Tinubu emerges PDP highest bidder. How did it happen? How did Tinubu become highest bidder of PDP? Wait, just get the book. Wike is such a fly on the PDP's scrotum. You just wait to see how it happened. Will PDP neck mend limping fractures? If you want to become an emergency oracle on what will happen to PDP now in the eye of a storm, buy a copy of the book and read. If you want to know the origin of Wike's involvement in the rise and tumbling of the first ruling party in this dispensation, get a copy of the book and read. Let me whet your appetite with these excerpts on chapter 24 of Wadata Wonders. The article titled, Wike Tinubu emerges PDP's highest bidder. Listen to, I'm just quoting from the article. Who owns the People's Democratic Party? Is it the people, as the name implies? Today, there are two PDPs, one belonging to Unyisom Wike and working closely with the ruling APC, and another led by the flag bearer Atiku Abubakar. None of them can stand strong as a credible opposition party. How and why did the party get to this crossroads? A one-word answer is greed. The party's leaders saw sugar and jumped at the Greek gift, engaging their faculties in the reverse gear. They did not care a hoot about the after effects of the sugar or its wheeler-dealer sauce until it had entered their bloodstream, unquote. The full piece reveals how the rain began to beat PDP, now riding a terrible storm. Buy a copy of the book to read the effects of the gift that is making a way for one of the owners, the author identified in the article from page 114 of the book, and how your gift shall make a way for you is from the scripture. And the gift that some received according to the author is making a way. The writer in the second title, Memoirs of a Partisan Journalist, this is the context, exiles me as a journalist. And here is why. In Nigeria, all of us in the media have been dragged into a single box office by long years of over-centralization of political parties and the media ecosystem. What do we do in this box? We are told about the expediency of balancing stories. They always tell us to balance our stories. Even in journalism school, balance, 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 be fair. We are used to that. We have been wired to respect fairness doctrine, in addition to respecting a rule that is cast on a marble that facts are sacred. And here is the thing. Anytime we do a story about the North and the South, anytime we report on the ruling and the opposition parties in any dispensation, We are bound by professionalism to be fair to all the parties. Even if both parties evade the truth, we are told to be loyal to. In this mode, we are told to avoid use of certain terms while describing certain tribes and people, even if your descriptions and epithets are factual. We are told to tell stories of troops in war zones in certain ways, even if some criminal entities in command positions in the armed forces are endangering the lives of some officers. So we must be conflict sensitive. What is more, the gatekeepers, the editors are called gatekeepers, have been wired to be conflict sensitive in national interest, even if it is to protect the enlightened self-interest of the heads of state and political leaders. We are told to ensure that we don't undermine state security by telling certain truths in a certain way about state actors, even if they are stealing our public funds with all their strength. That has been a dilemma we haven't resolved. I'm talking about a situation where they have wired us as journalists. Be fair, be fair, be fair. Don't be partisan, don't be partisan. I'm talking to the significance of declaring himself as a partisan journalist. That's why I asked earlier, why can't we be partisan? And you will see why. What is more, my analogy above is the story of the relevance of Ike Aboye's one-sided stories of a partisan journalist. The two books threaten to represent. In the book, Aboye, the political journalist and columnist, has demonstrated to us what has been happening in most media ecosystems in the world. There is no neutrality anywhere. But in this place, they say we must be fair. Yet, they know when they travel, our leaders know that there is no neutrality in the media ecosystem. And nobody teaches that one, but we are teaching it here. Be fair. Be this one. You have to be this and that between the North and the South, between PDP and APC, between NRC and SDP. We have been wired to do that. So I just praise his effort by getting out to declare himself a partisan journalist. And you see why. In the In the United States, people of various backgrounds, including university scholars, freely join political parties. The political parties are distinctively ideological in orientation. People are either of the Republican Party, that is conservative, or National Democratic Party, liberal. In 2013, as editor of The Guardian, I was invited to be on the entourage of scholars from National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Kuru, Plateau State, who were then on a study tour of the United States for the year's study theme, Management of Political Parties. The team, led by the then Director General of the Institute, Professor Tijani Mohammad Bande, hired two professors from George Washington University's Political Management School as resource persons to one of the sessions for the study in the US Capitol. The two professors, one female and the other male, introduced themselves as members of the Republican Party and National Democratic Party, respectively. Here in Nigeria, we don't have respectable political parties that can attract members from various backgrounds. Political parties here in Nigeria that appear to be acting as just special purpose vehicles, SPVs, don't shop for members from even the business communities and sound professional bodies, let alone the universities. They attract members from only what from Fanon called the wretched of the earth, Gina. From professional bodies such as they recruit members from what we can see from professional bodies such as National Union of Road Transport Workers. So they are there, expecting all the times the balancing acts from the media. They don't remember what they see in the West, specifically in the United States, where there is a great deal of diversity in the media ecosystem. The CNN audience is different from Fox News, for instance. The New York Times editorial orientation is different from Los Angeles Times. and Washington Post, etc., etc. In the United Kingdom, the BBC is re-echoing or competing, isn't re-echoing or competing with the Sky News in covering the old Great Britain. They have their BBC World, covering the world for Britain, while Sky News covering Britain for the world. What UK newspapers do you read? This is a subtitle here in illustrating what Ike Abonyi has done. Years ago, you will see the distinction in the way they do newspapers, but not here. We are told to be fair, and they put us to be reporting the same thing. When you hold our newspapers, you are likely to find same stories, sometimes same headlines, no different orientation from what he has done. And in UK, this is what happened. Years ago, on a very clever and funny British sitcom about government, yes, I know, but it really was clever, funny, and very popular, called Yes, Mr. Prime Minister. There was a lovely bit of dialogue on the subject of who reads which newspapers. Prime Minister Jim Hacker. Don't tell me about the press. I know exactly who reads the newspapers. Listen to the distinction that you find that we don't find here. The Daily Mirror is read by people who think they run the country. The Guardian is read by people who think they ought to run the country. The Times is read by people who actually do run the country. The Daily Mail is read by the wives of the people who run the country. The Financial Times is read by people who own the country. The Morning Star is read by people who think the country ought to be run by another country. And Telegraph is read by the people who think it is the Prime Minister and the people who lead the country. Another one, and in a dialogue, Sir Humphrey, Prime Minister, what about the people who read The Sun? Bernard Woolley answered, The Sun readers don't care about who runs the country, as long as she's got big teeth. This joke wasn't new. It actually predated Yes, Mr. Prime Minister by several years, but it refers to the Sun's tradition of page 3 girls wearing very little in particular. It was close enough overall to the perceived truth to be funny. Personally, as someone in no position of importance and without much money, I actually read the Times for preference. It's mildly conservative in style, nowhere near as consistently right-wing as the Telegraph and Daily Mail, but actually provides a space for a very wide spectrum of political views. The writing is mostly of high standard, and the outline discussions between readers are very lively and entertaining, worth the subscription to get past the paywall, in my opinion. Abonyi, an imperative of alternative views in a democracy. This is what he has done with his book, this compilation. The author shows in so many articles in both books that in a functional democracy, the presence of alternative views is crucial for ensuring that citizens have access to a wide range of perspectives and ideas. This diversity of thought allows for informed decision-making, promotes critical thinking, and fosters a more inclusive and equitable society. The benefits of alternative views. Alternative views provide a necessary check on power and ensure that those in authority are held accountable for their actions. By presenting different perspectives, alternative views encourage critical thinking and promote a more nuanced understanding of complex issues. This, in turn, leads to more informed decision-making and a more engaged citizenry. Importance of dissent that he has done. Dissent is a vital component of a healthy democracy. It provides a necessary check on power and ensures that those in authority are held accountable for their actions. Dissent also promotes critical thinking and encourages citizens to question the status quo. The challenge of promoting alternative views in a democracy can be challenging. Those who hold dominant views may seek to suppress dissenting voices, and the media may be pressured to promote a particular agenda for ideology. However, it is essential to overcome these challenges and ensure that alternative views are given a platform. Abonyi's Aboye's courage in declaring himself as a political journalist is a remarkable statement to the media and managers of political parties that we can't continue to follow the same line of action or policy thrust. The imperative of alternative views in a democracy cannot be overstated. Alternative views provide a necessary check on power, promote critical thinking, and ensure that citizens have access to a wide range of perspectives and ideas. The media plays a critical role in promoting alternative views and dissent as a vital component of healthy democracy. By promoting alternative views and embracing dissent, we can create a more inclusive, equitable, and just society. That is what Aboye has shown, and editors who are blaming, listen to this for those of us who are managers here, and editors who are blaming the social media for poor sales and advertising patronage should ask market surveyors and scholars to do a survey and research on what newspapers do you read and why, as it was done with the British press. The responses to questionnaire here will help us to be more focused and consumer-centric in our content production, just like the British and others. Aboye's statement in his books demonstrate that at a time to be balanced is gone, a time that this social media time, to tell us to be balanced, to be fair, to be this one. What is this fairness all about? It is a digital journalism story time. It's a time to have news journal that will tell the story of enterprise in the Southeast. It is a time for the story of whether you say it's balanced or not balanced, you say he is demonstrating to others. It's a time for the story of very educated elite in Southwest. It's a time to ask the media and the elite what happens to the Southwest. It's a time to tell the story of intentional agriculture in the North. It is yet another time to ask Northern elite and their media what happens to the Grognard Pyramid, as the keynote speaker talked about. And when you say through his book, you will enjoy that it is time, and you will enjoy that it is time to ask the Nigerian elite in the North and South what happened to the very influential New Nigerian, Daily Sketch, Herald, The Tide, The Star, The Standard, The Chronicle, where it all began for Ray Echo. Ray Echo started from Chronicle as a focused newspaper, whether you call it unfair or one-sided stories from the then Cross River State. He started from there. That was how his talent was noted. That's why I mentioned his own particularly. The Pioneer, the Triumph, which used to tell Nigerian readers the difference Kano used to make via the party of the Talakawas, People's Redemption Party. It's a time to tell the story of the Tiv riot and how its effects are still fueling current insurgency in Benue State. Some alleged ancient land grabbers have vowed to conquer. It is a time to tell the so-called one-sided story, partisan story, of how a businessman from Hausa people, they continue to claim the Fulani conquered has established the world's only single largest train of refinery in Lagos and not in Kano. I'm talking of Dangote. He established the largest single train in the world, not in Kano and in Lagos. We are not telling such stories. Let us tell those stories. It may be partisan, it may be anything, but our people will benefit from it instead of pursuing some primordial things in our area. That's what I mean. It's a time to tell it is a time to tell a single significant story of how Ernest Sisei Ikoli, the first notable journalist in Lagos, and indeed West Coast of Africa, at a time like this, when we are renaming streets, when we are doing certain things, there are some stories that are relevant here. You may say it is partisan. It's a time to tell a single story, a significant story, of how Ernest Sisei Ikoli, the first notable journalist in Lagos, and indeed West Coast of Africa, from brass in today's oil-rich Bayelsa State, formed the first Lagos elite party, Lagos Youth Movement, which he later renamed Nigerian Youth Movement. And a German from the old brass. He was the first journalist and first editor of Daily Times. Young people need to know all these things. History, we have rich history, but it's only a partisan journalist who would not care about what is happening in Lagos now that can remind Lagos people. Ernest Ikole from Brass